Let's know A Question of Power. A Question of Power 1973 by Bessie is one of her most complex and powerful novels. Let's see the introduction. A Question of Power is a semi-autobiographical novel by Bessie, a South African born writer who lived in Botswana. It explores madness, identity, race, gender, colonial oppression, and the struggle for spiritual survival. The novel blends realism with psychological fantasy as the main character experiences mental breakdown and hallucinations. Detailed summary 1. The protagonist, Elizabeth. The story centers on Elizabeth, a mixed race woman who moves to Botswana to build a new life. Like Bessie herself, Elizabeth struggles with feelings of alienation, rejected by her family and society, stigmatized for her race, and burdened with painful memories. She initially tries to integrate into village life, working in a communal garden project. 2. Mental breakdown. Elizabeth begins to suffer from severe mental illness, experiencing terrifying hallucinations and visions. Two figures dominate her hallucinations. Cello, initially a wise and gentle spiritual guide, later becomes a cruel tormentor in her mind. Dan, a violent sadistic figure who represents sexual and racial oppression. These visions blur the line between reality and imagination, symbolizing Elizabeth's inner conflicts and the oppressive forces of society. 3. Themes in the hallucinations. Cello and Dan symbolize the destructive forces of colonialism, patriarchy, racism, and power abuse. Elizabeth's hallucinations expose her deepest fears, like domination, sexual exploitation, and loss of identity. She feels trapped in a cycle of suffering, unable to escape the control of these inner powers. 4. Struggle for survival. Despite her torment, Elizabeth continues working with the community garden. The garden symbolizes hope, creativity, and communal growth, a sharp contrast to her inner chaos. Elizabeth begins to rebuild her sense of self by connecting with others, especially women in the village. 5. Transformation and resolution. After years of mental torment, Elizabeth gradually regains her balance. She learns to reject the false power represented by Cello and Dan. Instead, she embraces human connection, compassion, and love as the real sources of strength. The novel ends with Elizabeth achieving a fragile but powerful sense of self, scared but spiritually renewed. Key themes discussed in the novel: madness and sanity. The novel shows the thin line between the breakdown and survival. 2. Power and oppression. Explores how power is misused in colonialism, racism, and patriarchy. 3. Identity and alienation. Elizabeth's mixed race identity makes her an outsider in every community. 4. Gender struggles. Women's suffering under both patriarchy and colonial systems is central. 5. Spiritual growth. True strength comes not from domination but from compassion and human connection. Critical appreciation. Written in stream of consciousness style, blending realism with surreal hallucinations. Semi-autobiographical. Bessie had also suffered from mental illness and exile. Not an easy novel, dense, disturbing, but deeply philosophical and spiritual. The novel is seen as one of the most important African feminist novels, examining both personal trauma and political struggle. In short, A Question of Power is about Elizabeth's struggle with madness and oppression, where she ultimately discovers that true power lies in love and community, not domination or control.